Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Opus Magnum. So we've got one more puzzle to solve in chapter 3 and then almost certainly we're going to get a storyline expansion. And then, it seems like at this rate the only thing that could possibly happen is that we pull off the theft that was the entirety of chapter 3 really. And, well, it starts here where you're introduced to a thief, I bet. Um, and we steal some metal, and then the next chapter is just going to be around dealing with metal again in some slightly different way. Let's see. This is a bit much. I feel as though I'm being suited up like a grenadier, a grenadier. Um, Stay still, or I won't get your measurements properly. Must you really outfit me this way? The more lights you absorb, the easier it will be for you to blend into the shadows. I can already do that. You seem to underestimate my abilities. I want to leave nothing to chance. Yeah, they really are underestimating this thief that they hired. Like, one would have assumed that they would have tried to hire the best that they could. This is a different polymer, which literally does not fit at the lower resolution. You either get a clip on the edge here or you get a clip on the edge there. In actuality, we only really need to know that much. Anyways, and I think you'd probably just start small here. Small and cheap. And we'll have to think about what we're bringing to the party as far as elements. See, we've got lead. It wants, what is that? Starting with lead, and it wants, I think, iron. So that's 2. Right? Yeah. So we're gonna have to do this twice. So, I imagine what you want to do here is to try and just keep everything fairly simplistic. Let's see. Can we handle all of this as it is suited? Let's see, to that one, and that one, and then put that there, and then just put that in the middle. I feel like if you're gonna do that, though, you're probably gonna end up taking up more space than you want. Okay. Let's see. We need to be able to push this to at least this point, and then kind of bring it back. Unless maybe it's just, for sanity's sake, maybe easier just to have another one of these there, ready to go. can we get this where we want it? I mean, that's going to be in the way, so that's not going to work for sure. We could grab this one and then adjust, but we're going to have to use a track. Definitely. So let's start with this. Start here. Grab this one, rotate, and drop. And then go plus. And if we go plus, we could extend 2, or we could just extend 1. Yeah. What would a reset look like here? Just that. And that would put us back here. It would mean we wouldn't need to drop. So that's 2 steps. But that's still the same. Extend, grab, plus, drop, minus, grab, plus, drop, and then that would leave us here at that point. So then you would just retract, grab, plus, and then drop. And I'm not sure I really want to do that quite yet. What I want to do is have a different way to grab something and put it here. And mercury doesn't turn into salt, right? I think we have seen that that doesn't do that. Any of the 4 cardinal elements, air, fire, and water, and earth to neutral salt. It does not do mercury. That being said, there might be a solution to that issue too. What if we were, like, before the code is even finished, what if we were to rewrite the code? Yeah, honestly, that would be more efficient anyways, because then we could grab plus drop and then reset. Let's see, just gonna have to drag everything over here. Grab plus that, then reset, and then instead of extend, retract, grab plus, grab, rotate, drop, unrotate, grab, rotate, drop. Then let's get rid of the rest of this. So that would drop one at that point. We extend. So we would be here. And we most easily could just rotate at that point there. And then drop. Not even drop, actually reset back all the way to this starting position. But if we're going to do it that way, then probably need to do something like this, which maybe means we can do this. Let's just experiment with that. Nope, we definitely cannot do that. Where does this end, by the way? Like, ironically, I think it ends with the lead. So I think I am actually going to do this right. Last piece of this would be pick up, go 1, 2, and we're gonna rotate it. And then no, we've rotated it, so it should be at that point here, holding on to the connection. So this would be 1 non-salt piece and 1 lead. So it should really just be extend and then reset. But there's a movement here that I have failed to put into this, certainly, because once we extend and reset, then we're going to try and build another one of these and put it here, and that's not going to work. It needs to be here. So stupidly, like, even though we already have 1 line of code, and we should just step through it to make sure everything is where it should be. Actually, I don't think everything is where it should be. Do that. Grab that, grab that, grab that. Yeah, it kind of falls off the rails. Even at this point. That one and that one. And it's not even that. At that point, you can swing once, but then the second time you need to grab and go positive. Grab go positive, let go, and then extend, grab, and then rotate. Then, yeah, I think I'm just overly complicating a lot of this. As usual, let go, retract, minus, rotate. Wrong direction. Tract, grab, rotate that way is right, rotate that way is wrong. Okay. Problem, though. I think we figured it out. Is I'm trying to grab the salt here. That's not gonna work. And this would work a lot better if I did just have something that was a three-way connection. In a funny way, you might even find some level of efficiency using this and making a four-way connection and then just breaking off and somehow discarding an item, but there's no way to discard an item, so using the break apart a connection glyph, which we barely have used in the game, doesn't work. It would work if there was a trash can glyph, something that would just straight up destroy an element, but no such thing exists. Alright. Actually, I think the trick here is not too bad. Then we just need to figure out the swing and the drop, which I think is here. Instead of swing and drop, let's go swing and then extension drop, and then let's get rid of all this code and hope that's right. Alright, and it's not even a drop, it is a full-on reset, and that means that will be there instead. I guess we could just retract and we would use one less space for a time being, at least. Otherwise, that is just gonna keep pushing and keep pushing. Put that back that way instead of extend, retract. Okay. The next part of the puzzle, though, is where this is going to get kind of wonky. Because it's extend, retract, And I think it's pivot. And when you get back to this point, I mean, maybe we'll go for cheapness, and then that would lose a ton of efficiency, but I don't think we should start with the goal of potentially turning all of these to lead, so that 2 out of the 4 in a cycle items you're building are just then going to be turned back into salt. In fact, that's not going to work at all, is it? Because that's a metal. And metals don't turn into salt either. Okay. So that means we've got to have one of these reagents. Don't think we have to have this. Okay. Extend. So this time, instead of it retracting and dropping, let's see if we can do this a different way. I think it would have to be something like this. And so again, we would just have another piece that's used. In all honesty though, this here and this here and this here and this here just going forever are also going to take up area. So this is going to be a massively large puzzle regardless of how you do it. Okay, so at this point, I don't think we're ready for a pivot. I think we're going to drop it, and then we are going to then retract and rotate. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, 3, 4. Then we're gonna grab, and then at that point we could go 1, 2, 3, 4 either direction. So we might as well just go the right direction so we actually hit the salt. Glyph 3, 4. And this code should leave us right where the pivot should be. We still have a retraction, that's not right. 1 too many anyways. Let's see. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay. And yeah, maybe 1 too many pivots at this point. 2. So what's the next step? Because we've got to connect we at that point should be holding it like this. Is there any way we could pivot this and put it here? I mean, oddly, yes. So we could just take up this one space temporarily. And that would just be different code at that point. Yeah, that's crazy, but... Right, so we would be holding it here. We need to go minus... and then rotate, and then probably one pivot. That would be my guess. And yes, this has to all start in the right place. Which it would be very nice if you could lock down the starting place on this code. But then you need like a temporary example. There's really just a lot of connection to real world mechanics here that I just don't think I can really agree with. Like, how would this work? It seems like probably I don't even need I shouldn't have even done that. Right. You grab it, put it back. Is there a way to grab this with it not in the way? No, we kind of need to take it over here. So, if you were here, if you had it, release, retract, release, retract, grab, swing in the opposite direction, and pivot. Let's see if that is what we want. Okay. So what's the next step here? Like, this kind of would work, but kind of doesn't. And honestly, what it implies to me is that maybe we don't need this piece here and this piece here, and we could flip this whole thing so it was actually making the connections here. Of course, there's too much of a danger of hitting the salt glyph if you did that. Let's see. Maybe you don't pivot, maybe you just drop. Let's go ahead and drop, go back one, and then extend one, and then grab, and then pivot what might be quite a bit. Let's say 2 pivots. I suspect it might be 3. Just having to do a lot of code and a lot of manipulation here. Yeah. It would be a 3rd pivot, then a release, and then a retraction, and then a grab for then 2 more pivots. And I think at that point you just reset. But this again may be one of those situations where that's too many pivots. Too many pivots, and it puts everything on the track, which doesn't work, and unfortunately implies that we would have to move a lot of the code further down. Before we do that, is there possibly a better solution? Because now we're going to just have to rewrite the code. Yeah. Seems like that's fairly obvious the way this is going. Is we're going to end up having to rewrite the code a few times. And I gotta get it so that I can grab at least something and push it this way. Let's just fill in one more gap just so we kind of see how that's gonna work. Alright, start the code all over again. This is still good. This point is still good. It would just be at this point, don't pivot. Instead, simply just go to the plus, and then retract. And instead of undoing a pivot, nope, that still might be good, actually. Might just be able to move all of this, and this is still in the same spot. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Not enough rotations now. All of a sudden. Okay. So we are now here at this either retraction or extension. It swings over to this. And let's go. Which honestly, probably need to be able to go a little bit further, but it's not that big of a deal. So instead of letting go, swing over and pivot 3 times, then let go. Then you might not even need any more of the code. Like, let's get rid of everything and just reset there and see how that plays. Because I may move things subtly in a way that I didn't expect I was going to move things that would continue down this path. Right. We'll have to obviously replace these pivots, but that's an easy change to make. One too many pivots. I think the problem you run into now is we've got to do the code differently. Like, a repeat would bring the lead here, and we could bring this back here to connect to this instead of picking this up and putting it here. Yes. But at the next step, we need something that would connect the whole thing in an opposite pattern. So we've got to put a whole bunch more code. Just frankly, what is going to be an insane amount of code into this after this point. Alright. Let's just do it. So pick up plus. A lot of this would make a lot more sense if we had multiple arms. To the point where trying to be efficient on cost is so confusing the issue that I wouldn't be surprised if some people only write code like I'm doing it now. Some people only write code with multiple arms, each doing the bare minimum of actions. And then some people just are generally confused at all times. Pick up another one of the Mercuries. Rotate. This time don't rotate. Actually go plus. Then drop. And extend. And then grab plus drop Let's see. So that would have dropped it there. Attract. Rotate. Grab. Oddly have to pivot it. Well, no, we don't have to pivot, do we? We just grab and then go negative and then go plus and then reset. Let's see if that works. At least to get us to that spot. There we go. So, what we need now is to be able to have this pivoted in some way that it connects. Which I guess maybe you could extend it and pivot it, or pivot it, then extend it and make it flat. But it wouldn't be flat, it would have to be pivoted a couple times. But I guess that's what you're looking for. Alright. So it would be at that point where it's going to grab. Well, it would start here, grab, and then it would move back here. And then it's going to move back here. So we've got the center, which I think would let us pivot it once this way, but maybe not twice this way. And I don't think the pivot needs to happen anyways, because I think we have to rotate this way and extend and drop. And that's not the end of it. There's still more code even after that point that we'd have to write. This is why you have functions. This is why you write smaller codes. This is why you have potentially even different people writing different code with harshly enforced standards that require everybody to establish what the inputs and outputs of a function would be and what the expected actions are to happen inside of a function. Arguably, this is even what classes, which they really didn't teach much about classes in my education in programming, and arguably I still think classes actually overcomplicate things for most people more than they're worth, in an effort to create kind of a level of security or a level of like massive overusage of RAM would be, I think, kind of a good way to describe it too. Classes can be fairly crazy. Right, that didn't work. Probably because I need to probably let go of it and then rotate and then grab it again. Classes make sense when you're making just like giant programs that are going to do a lot. When you, in a video game example, have a non-playable character, it makes a lot of sense to have a class of non-playable characters and give them many different values of like eye color, hair color, sex, hair height, things like that, height or hairstyle, whatever. It makes a lot of ideas to define that, a lot of sense to define that class and use that. But in a lot of other scenarios, it is just, I think, fairly pointless to give so many values to something. And by default establish that you have to now use RAM to save a whole bunch of values, often just default values, into a variable. And then the idea of merging a class in programming with functions in programming gets more confusing to my understanding of it, in that you might very well establish a class and say the hair color is brown, but the class itself may have a function in there that changes brown into like brunette. So you have this situation where it feels like it's possible to expect it to spit out, if you ask it what the NPC's hair color is, you expect it to say brown, and yet the code can effectively I guess I don't need that pivot, do I? Can change it without you being aware of that. And at a certain point, if you're just making things more confusing, you're really not doing a good job in programming or adding new functionality to programming. But I do know for a very long time people were taught to use class-based programming instead of functional-based programming, where I was taught more functional-based programming. You should probably use both when it is the right time to use both, but there was definitely a lot of emphasis on classes. Or class-based programming. And I would say in a lot of cases, it's not so much code. Programs and code aren't bad because you use classes versus functions. Programming code is bad because you're just not, you're overcomplicating things, or you're not understanding even your own code, and you're leaving an opportunity for a lot of mistakes to be made, particularly if somebody else has to come in and work on your code years later. Bad documentation is almost certainly the number one problem with most code. I was about to say rotating this twice is probably not needed, And yeah, that would be wrong. Okay. There needs to be one pivot here to put this in the right spot. One rotation, one pivot. But I think that's kind of it. Rotate, rotate. And then undo, rotate, and reset. And boy does it suck to have to try and test out the very last action on what is an incredibly long bit of code. Next problem. Oh, this is a nightmare. This is an absolute nightmare because now we've got to get this pivoted and in the right place. Because it just has to keep on going. So I would then have to write more code to rotate. Wish I could just leave that down without having to hold down the mouse button or hold down the number 1. Yeah, I would have to rotate the whole thing upside down. And in the process of rotating the whole thing upside down, I would have to do something else. The only other thought I could possibly do is have it grab this piece, make another one of these, grab this piece, put it here so that the piece would be here. Take this, extend this direction, and rotate that way. And then at that point, it probably would work, but then you've just got to write new code again. And I just don't think there's a point here where you would actually be able to repeat your code. You would just have to keep on going down this route until you've made like 6 in total. Yeah. Yeah. And see, that didn't even get 1. Yeah, and I'm not willing to spend time on that. So, like, we don't even have a solution here. We have a theoretical solution. Let's start over. Just see if we can rethink the whole process. Gonna need this one, and this one. So what do we have? Like, I constantly want this to work, but it constantly doesn't seem like it really could work. So I think what we'll do is a much more simpler solution of something like this and this and this and this. This may be somewhat overkill, but whatever. Let's see. Next again, I really wish we would have by this point been able to just write a function so that you could have a package here ready to go. Is there any faster way to potentially create these? I don't think so. But I am gonna definitely try to have something that's just smarter and easier to use. Like I want very simplistic code here. Nothing crazy. These should be somewhere like this, I think. I think that would make a little bit more sense. Okay. Can I, with that setup, grab this? Yes, I can. So is there some way to grab one and move on? Pick up, rotate, reset, repeat. Pick up, rotate, reset. Wait until this end of the repeat. Take this, go this way and this way, so go 2 pluses, which honestly could, no, it's got to pick up then go 2 pluses, so pick up plus plus retract. Retract and retract. And then 1, 2, start this way. So this would at that point be retracted. The next step would be to drag it one further, and then reset. So I think that's about as far as that needs to go. Meanwhile, this one, as this should start repeating same amount of code, and then this should start repeating again once all of that happens. This one should grab, go one rotation, and then go minus pivot. Which probably means at that point I don't need this. And I probably don't need this one. So we could probably just have that. Is the pivot enough? Let's see. Let's see how this goes. We've got that in the wrong place. And or maybe we don't have that in the wrong place. We just failed to put another bit of code here. Five just needs to pick up at a specific spot. Somewhere about here, which probably means we need a buffer. Pick up plus reset. Okay. And then the pivot's the wrong direction. See how that works. And compared to what I just wrote, this is incredibly simple. Like way less complicated than what I was trying to do before, to use the least amount of components and the least amount of space. Let's see, is everything resetting at the end? Kind of looks like everything would be. I've just failed to put in the next step that would make this work. Okay. That, at this point, is right. I think. And that point, I think, is fairly right. But what I think number 3 needs to do is probably find a way to almost invert the whole thing and keep it going. Which I don't even know how you could do that. You could push it up here and extend 2. So it would be there, but that definitely wouldn't be the right angle. If we were gonna flip it over, we don't have to let it go, pick this one up, rotate the whole thing. And then move it 1. Rotate this whole thing. Yep. You gotta be real careful what you rotate also, because that's gonna cause problems. It's been an hour and I can't figure out a single solution here that isn't running into just these major speed bumps. And it would be crazy to rage quit a game like this, but I could certainly see doing it. Like, the next step here is to put 1 there, which only makes sense is if you're starting all over again. You get 1 here. There's got to be a more efficient way to do this than just to repeat yourself. But whatever. So 3. Should go plus plus. Reset. Let's see if that works. I don't understand why making that 1 change way at the end here all of a sudden change things. It's the spin that's the problem, obviously. Or rotate, add a minus there. Crazy that the pluses and minuses are not like east and west or north and south. Sure, that doesn't account for negative and positive, and so maybe they should symbolically still be negative and positive, but it is really weird that you can have negative be on the left on some and then positive be on the left on others. Okay. Stop here. This is where the process should have stopped before. And I just don't see anything here that would help with this idea to make a wave pattern. Like number 4 right now, instead of picking one up and bringing it over, should, in its second cycle, be like, could we go positive, negative, drop, negative, negative? Let's see. Positive, negative, drop, positive, positive, positive. And rotate. That way, this one could start here for some efficiency. That might work. Problem, I guess, would be this reset at that point just not being needed. Still doesn't work. It still does not work because we need it to either do its actions way later. We just need everything to repeat all over again. And the problem here, let's see, is there's nothing else I can do. I can come over here and play Sigmar's Garden and try and take a break. But that is it. And I hate the idea, really to my core, that I might just rage quit this game Today is a bright and early day. Like, it's not like I've been playing this for a long time today and my mind is mush. It's not even a situation where I feel like I'm just waking up, and thus with a little bit more time I could warm up to the mentality. It's just I've hit the speed bump, and it seems like there is enough of a chance that at some point somewhere most players will hit the speed bump as far as how much progress they've made in the game. Yep, this is a doomed run through if we're not careful. Yeah, how are you supposed to solve that one? Yeah, and it's not like Sigmar's Garden is the calming solution to like letting your brain rest. This hardly is a mindless game like Minesweeper or something like that, where you can just kind of click, and if you don't care about winning or losing, it's fairly easy to just play. Sure, I could match colors and try and turn off my brain, but there is kind of a high chance of punishment happening if you do play that way. This again. Wait for your green or blue. It definitely also feels like you get specific rounds in which Sigmund's Garden helps you kind of win, and then there are definitely rounds in which it doesn't help you win. Let's see. Mercury on this one. Mercury on that one's not gonna change much anyways. This one would free a lot of greens, which at a certain point, that's what we need. It's just a ton of greens to be exposed. There we go, another victory. All right. Back to very dark thread. Just straight up give me a new solution. Let's start from the beginning. Is there a pattern that you can do where all of these would be in place. Almost certainly have to be something like this. Yeah, it would be nice if there was some level of craziness that a spinning wheel could just constantly feed into things. But I don't think that's what's gonna happen. Does something like this even help? Not really. I mean, in a lot of ways this does just feel like it's going to take up the same amount of space no matter, and use the same items, so it's really just programming and placement. Unless we could do something crazy. Like make a line and just go down that line. And then make more of the pattern. But yeah, that just, if you unbound something, you have to get rid of that thing. And theoretically, you might be able to get rid of like 6 or probably only 5 things using this if you grabbed it and just spun around and just held on to that item for the 6 rotations. That very well may be some of the solutions that are really, really complicated. Let's see. Problem was the coding, and I want to see, I want to have a different solution here that would not just require me to have to spend a ton of effort and time trying to figure it out. And see, this is probably a great example of just not having a firm grasp on understanding the problem, because if I did have a better grasp of understanding the problem, I probably wouldn't be struggling. But I am struggling. And it really shouldn't be anyway as difficult as it seems. I mean, that feels like that should be the solution, and it doesn't feel like that is particularly different from what we had before. And again, this is one of those cases where you really would want to function. Let's see, I think we can do this as number 1 because this one's fairly easy to figure out. You pick up, you rotate, you reset, you repeat. You pick up, number 2 picks up, rotates, waits until this point, and then that point rotates again out of the way and goes to the plus. 1, 2, 3 times, and then resets. And this one can fairly quickly I wish there was just a different way to make another one of these and have it down here. Would be the easiest solution to this, is just to say, yeah, this is here. Which it's a more complicated idea, certainly, but it's not an undoable idea. So number 4, pick up, rotate, reset. Problem here, though, is this would have to be somewhere closer to this, which I guess that works. Pick up, then a ton of negatives. Then a rotate and a reset. And of course that's all of a sudden going to require it to basically rotate itself out of the way, I suspect several times. Yep. In an effort to be efficient, this is gonna end up just requiring a whole bunch more wasted time. 1, think I have to do this 4 times. Nope, 5 times. And see if there was an easier solution to this. It would be much nicer. So number 3 here shouldn't rotate, should just go plus. Meanwhile, I don't even know why it's doing that. Yeah, there should be no rotation, and it shouldn't do anything until at least that spot. And at the same time, number 4 should also grab something and start potentially going to the plus. And at the same time, we need yet another arm that's going to take things from this point over here. Grab plus. Let's see how that all works. Somebody needs to let go, and that needs to be number 3. Grab plus. Release. Plus here. Just stagger that for code's sake. We still haven't written the code for number 2 to actually turn this into the right thing. This is gonna have to wait quite a bit. Grab, rotate, rotate, reset, grab, rotate, rotate, reset. Second one needs even more buffer time, and there's just no faster way in which this is going to get around all of this. So I'm trying to make things easy on myself, and more than likely I'm spending a lot of time making things more difficult on myself. Right, that's just enough time. Let's see. Which probably means that code needs to happen at that point. Perfect. So let's continue to add the code there and reset. That should be fine. Number 4, on the other hand, should probably be able to go plus here. And then plus here. And I think one more plus and a reset. Please work. Please work and just solve this puzzle. Because I do not want to work on this any further. Like, we almost have that. The only difference is we need 4 probably to just have one there to start with. But I think that would actually complicate it too much to grab a piece and put it here. So instead what we'll do is we will just, after the reset, grab plus, 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 and reset again. Please work. I don't have a lot of confidence in this actually working. Nope. Is there a placement issue here? If I swapped these two around, maybe. Like, I seriously doubt just swapping those two around is going to fix the problem. But stupidly might. Like, we'll have to change a few things. Add a plus here. And maybe something else. Probably put a bit of a delay there and I think get rid of this code. Yeah. Number 4 needs more of a bit more of a delay before it moves. Probably something like that. I bet this one can't go that far. That's the problem. There's got to be a more efficient way to put things at the bottom. No, you still are gonna have to have that spin. Like, there's no getting around the spin one way or another. And then there's no getting around having the code yeah, No way around having the code be different the second time. Yeah. If this was the solution, but it's not the solution. Unless there was just a pushing motion that happened because of this. This should just move everything out of the right way anyways. Okay, 4 goes positive and negative. What if it instead went positive and pivot and then reset? See, you just need that establishing. Like, this first part of it is weirdly different than the rest of it. Once you've got your base pattern, it works. Or at least it feels like it works. Or it feels like it should work. Let's see. If there was some way to make this stop doing what it's doing and stop the repetition. But there is no way. There's no like functional do this once at the beginning to set things up and then don't do it again. Like, one, maybe two even. Yeah. It almost feels like what you should do, instead of zigzagging it, is try to make a flat line with an extendable arm. And I'm gonna give this like 15 more minutes, but honestly, I think I'm fairly drained, and we'll just look up the solution, a solution online. If we were to establish the idea that this is going to make a flat line, I don't know if I really even want to change too much. You would just need that much, and at some point you would need this. Flat line, then rotate, then maybe rotate again. So how much of the code stays the same at that point? Kind of the same amount of code. Okay. But it would be at this point where it starts to get crazy and things start to yeah, and I don't know if it wouldn't just benefit you better to have a single piece here. Get rid of this, 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 this. Rework these bits of code to just be repeats. Rework number 1 to just be a repeat, and then number 5 at one point is going to pick up, and it's going to just pivot twice, and that's all it's going to do. This one didn't happen. I don't understand. Like number 4 here. It's gonna move it forward and then let go, which means this needs to happen here, which means maybe we need more of a buffer there. The way these grippers grip air and then like do nothing else. They'll grab air, and even if there's a marble there, after they've grabbed air, they'll rotate and pivot the air and the empty space, as if that's something anybody would ever want. Could also get rid of this track and just have this swing at this rate, but let's leave that for now. I think 5 probably we'd be better off if it just started there and did not try to grab anything at all until probably a release spot at that point. And then 3 should just start here, and maybe it doesn't need to start that early. Grab and rotate. And pivot one more time. See if we can set everything back a little bit further. Okay. 5 is taking it away. Where? 4 should just be rewritten. Actually, no, I guess we couldn't swing it in that direction, or we shouldn't swing it in that direction. So it is grab and move it. It's just, it then, I think, needs to repeat that code. Which means moving this further this way. Also, I don't think it needs to move more than grab, forward, release, and that's it, just like reset. And then probably repeat immediately. Nope, it does need a little bit of a buffer. Yeah, it needs to be able to line up with this one, which is, yeah, I really wish we could tie in the return status, is what it would be called, of one of these codes or one of these functions before we did anything else. Okay. That now, let's see, 3 doesn't just need a drop, it can just have a reset. That gets us somewhere where we need to be, but not quite where we need to be, because next step on this would be to want to be able to connect it to another chain this direction. Okay, so We spin it, we take it maybe as far as this point. Then we spin it. It would always be at this spot. So if it went here, then it should move forward. Yeah, you can't hear it, but I'm just shaking my head because, yeah, you get to, let's see what cycle it really is. You do all this code to get to a cycle somewhere up in the 50s, maybe 25s, but definitely 1.5 screens further. And then you just come to the realization that the code I've just written, no matter how I write it, cannot be the code that is repeated past this point. Because, like, once I have this here, once you're at this spot, I can spin this all I want. I can move it one forward, and I can pivot it one forward. I can have a connection here all I want, but it's not what I need. If anything, maybe I don't need to do the spin at the beginning, and I just need these segments. Yes, that would be more balanced. Let's see if we can eliminate that part. If we take out here, here, and here, then what would we do to make it work? So if we just created these, and then this could be swung by the 5 to be put here, certainly, and then dropped. And then we could build another one, and then it could be pivoted and put here. Maybe that's the trick. Would it crash into things? It would crash into things if I did this wrong. Let's put this here and then reset. See how that works. I'll have to bump this one more this direction. Actually, it doesn't matter how much we bump this. We need this to reset. Swing. Reset and repeat. Okay, so at this point, if it grabbed it, if it grabbed it and then pivoted it probably 3 times, 3, and then 1 plus, would that be enough? Enough pivots? That seems weird. Okay. At this point, we've got something different. Yay. What if we did this? And the insanity here would definitely be if this somehow I would stumble on a solution. Because, yeah, if I just stupidly stumbled on a solution right now, I would just take it and go, I don't care enough about the game to even justify or bother to go any further. Let's see. Plus, like if I put another plus here, I think that messes it up. Yep. There was no reason for that to have worked. Just doesn't work. It really just does not work. And I hate to potentially have to accuse the makers of the game of not testing their game, but I guess maybe you could pivot and then unpivot. Probably wouldn't do anything the first time. So do something like that. And then do something like that. I'm having to figure out tricks. Pivot and unpivot would mean probably waiting a little bit longer to repeat this one, be my guess. Seriously, can we possibly move this back to then? Nope. Yep. We've just got to move this forward too. Why do I have an extra pivot now? All of a sudden? I think I may have stupidly found my way through a solution here. And the only real difference is it looks like I'll just need another calcification here. And let's just hit play and hope that works and just be done with it. Like, this is not logic. This is not good programming. It's just dumb luck and trickery. It's finding a gimmick or a scheme. And is there possibly some money savings that can be had here? Sure, absolutely. Like, without a doubt, I can see at least 3 squares I can get rid of as far as areas. What's funny is this is not lining up right, though. So I'm gonna have to move things because it's not counting any of it at all. It's one step off. Let's do this, get rid of this. I think we're only going this far here. We're only going this far here. Let's put this here. Let's see if that lines up. I may still have to do some more trickery. Right. Skip one here. Do have one here, have 2 here. Like, area-wise, of course, all of this is being used and a ton more is being used as I pivot it, so like you really would have to bend over backwards to try and use the least amount of area. This left part of the code is not really taking up that much area, so that I appreciate. And you can see now it is lined up, so it's counting it, but the number of cycles, the amount of gold, well, that is actually shockingly surprising as far as having the cost not really even be that high, having the number of cycles not even be that high, the amount of area is pretty high. Like, is there any even reason to try and hold on to something like this? Yeah, from what I just learned, which was very little, it would still be an incredible struggle, and I would just look up a solution if I was going to try and get the area this small. This one is probably where you would go with building something that would take up the very least amount of area. But I would suspect there is even if you can get the code right, there's probably a need to put another merger. I wouldn't be surprised if you can't actually do it without at least 2 mergers there doing different things. But then the swinging part of that also you would want to eliminate. And that's the smallest area and the smallest number of parts, where this code really never got anywhere close. And I have to just hope that the next set of puzzles focus on something completely different, and we have a very different experience in the next chapter. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the next chapter. This is driving me fairly irritated, fairly mad. The story continues. It's quite striking. Look, it's weird to have the story continue also because 2 hours later, I don't even barely remember what the story was. It's quite a striking look, don't you think? I'm a convert. I never thought I'd reach the heights of fashion like this. And see, now you can see it's just in basically a black shadow. We should go into business as clothiers. I can hardly do much more alchemy in any case. We used the last of our quicksilver making that. But that's a wonderful idea. I'll find us more looming and sewing supplies. Get us a mannequin too. Consider it done. Perfect. So we were in the abandoned tailor shop before, and now all of a sudden they are just now realizing that they should pretend to be tailors or actually become tailors. Yeah, so it's always said abandoned tailor shop. And the story, and it really highlights how they wrote the story backwards to make them become tailors and wrote them living in an abandoned tailor shop. Looks like it's time for me to go, says Niles Whitney. Good luck, Niles, or Nils. You'll know I've succeeded when a barge of lead ore floats down the river towards you, and I'll send instructions dealing where to send my share of the gold later. You won't be returning here? No, I'm afraid I can't say. So you do trust us, finally. A funny thing about that. When I first found the two of you hiding in this abandoned shop, my first thought was to cut you both down as you slept and sell your personal effects. Oh my, I'm glad you didn't. I'm just kidding. I would have collected only a pittance for your mediocre clothes. Anyways, how touching. I was expecting a more touching story. I expect a more touching story couldn't be written. Safe travels, Niles. Nils. We'll be here for the time being should you want to find us. I'm sure we'll run into each other again before long. So, yeah. We have a new background, which I like the art style of all of these backgrounds, but that's kind of the only art style I like in the game. I hate the user interface. I hate the character designs in the visual novel presentation. This is cool how you have a star shape cut into the entire region of the city, but that certainly does also implement spoiler alert for Full Metal Alchemist or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. At a certain point, an entire city was seemingly constructed to be a giant alchemy circle to transmutate everybody in the city. And so I would be fairly concerned if there was a city designed like an alchemy circle or the shape. Of course, you'd have to live in a world where alchemy was real to be concerned about that. Moreover, in the real world, I'd be concerned about just the terrible traffic flow you would have around this artistic decision to cut your city up like that. Yeah, traffic flow would probably be a nightmare. Anyways, I definitely need to take a break. We will read this decoded message and almost certainly unlock Sigma Gardens again, and I'll continue to play some of those every now and then. But yeah, if in the next episode we're not given something fairly different to deal with, something a lot easier, it does feel like the in-chapter challenges become these big difficulty spikes, and then it gets fairly easy in the next chapter. But that does not set things well, because there could be 3 more chapters, and that means there are still 3 more opportunities in which they would throw a single alchemy puzzle at me that I just could not wrap my brain around. Anyways, I need to rest, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.